Welcome back to the Triple Double Watch, guys. We got another video out for you guys. We're doing some MLB today, so it's been a while since we've done that. Probably since trade deadline, actually.
Yeah, post-trade deadline.
We got a whole month of August of baseball to recap, pretty much. A lot of stuff's happening, a lot of change in the standings. This is going to be kind of an overarching MLB video. We'll talk about some of the division races, some of the wild card races, what we find interesting going into the last month of the season. And about 2 or 3 days after you're seeing this, probably, you'll see a Cardinals video. We'll do a Cardinals-based one. We won't talk about them too much in this video. We might touch on them, but they're super hot right now. We're loving Pujols and Wainwright and the whole bit, so we're going to games this weekend, as we do. So anyway, though, let's hop right into it. You want to start with the AL?
Yeah, we'll get into it. Pull up the standings. So the AL East seemed to be a runaway for a while, but the Yankees will get into their struggles a little bit in August, and they're 76 and 48. They're still 8 games up. So Tampa Bay is 8 games back. Toronto's 8.5. Baltimore's 11, and Boston's 15.5. So a lot closer than it was not that long ago. So then you got the Central. Cleveland's still leading it. Minnesota's 3 back. Chicago's 4 back. It feels like these teams are just all 3 real inconsistent, but we'll get into that a little bit more too. Kansas City and Detroit are 17 and 19 back, probably out of it. Houston has got the biggest division lead now. They're 11.5 up on Seattle. Texas is 22.5 out. The Angels are 26.5, and Oakland is 34 games out. I would assume that's all but eliminated. Yeah, and then you want me to go through NL2, or do you want to do that?
Let's just talk about some AL first.
Oh, yeah,
we'll
split it up.
The NL. So, I mean, the main takeaway I take from all that is still the AL Central. I know the Guardians, Twins, White Sox race. Guardians got the lead now. I was really high on the Twins the whole first half. Even when the other teams were striking, getting close, I thought the Twins had enough firepower. I really liked their young pitchers and Joe Ryan, other guys like that. I thought they made a good deadline move, getting Tyler Mahle and Jorge Lopez. And since then, though, they've just kind of tapered off. And now I don't know if they can find it in time, especially with how hot Cleveland is.
Yeah, in our trade deadline recap, I picked the Guardians, I think. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. It just feels like they're experienced with this type of run. They still have pieces, and it just Chicago can't get out of their own way with injuries and their coaching decisions. So didn't feel like they were the one to beat. And then Minnesota.
It's a fan-led organization.
It is a fan-led organization. Pinch run. When you want a pinch runner, just tell Tony. So, but anyway, it feels like Cleveland's been the one to beat for me, and I just never was high on Minnesota. Just didn't feel it. So, I still think Minnesota and Chicago have chances, but I think you got to beat Cleveland. So.
Yeah, and you look at these teams talent-wise, injury-free, and Chicago should run away with this.
Oh, for sure.
Now each team's dealt with some injuries. Chicago to the fullest extent, for sure. But even with all the injuries Chicago has, this team is definitely talented enough to win the division. But they haven't been good against teams like the Guardians and the Twins they're having to play. So it just makes it really difficult. I don't know if they've had a winning streak of over 4 or 5 this season. I don't remember it, at least. The Guardians got really hot in a stretch. They're really hot right now again, too. White Sox, if they want any chance, are going to have to get a sweep of the Guardians late. Yeah. So
you put Baltimore in the Central, and they're like a game and a half out of the division.
Exactly. Exactly. So my question is now, if Guardians win the division, and they would be my pick currently, 3-game lead's pretty decent. They look really good. Their rotation is amazing right now. But they would go into the 3 seed, presumably play the Yankees as a 2 seed. Astros are 3 or 4 games better than the Yankees.
Whoa, they got to beat the 6 first.
Well, that's true. But I'm saying if they were going to play the Yankees.
There's no shot.
Are they legit enough?
No. I don't think so. I don't think any team from the Central Division is going to get past. Who would be our 6th seed right now? It would be Toronto. I don't think any of these Central Division
They're
winners.
all basically tied in the wild card.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They're Toronto's technically, I guess, would be the 6th right now. Any of the 6 seeds right now. I don't think that any of the Central, whoever wins it, I don't know if they can win a 3-game set against any of these wild card teams. Even the Orioles.
Well, I kind of like Cleveland's 1, 2, 3 in their rotation better than maybe any other wild card team, though. Maybe.
Well, I just think. So who's Cleveland? Bieber.
It'd probably be Bieber, McKenzie, maybe Cal Quantrill.
I don't like that over Toronto. I don't like that over Seattle.
I was going to say maybe Toronto's. I think I like it over Seattle's.
Well, you got Ray.
Castillo definitely helps.
Ray, Castillo, and I guess what?
Oh, no, but Logan Gilbert. Oh, well.
I like it better. And I like
Yeah.
Toronto, and I don't know about Tampa. I mean, they're just a wild card with their pitching, but Toronto I definitely like better, so. I just don't think whoever wins the Central, I probably have them losing to the 6, whoever it is.
Do we care about the home field any?
No.
Or, no.
Yeah, I guess you have to, but I'm looking at this purely.
Yeah, come postseason.
Yeah.
So
I think they'll take it 3, whoever they play, but.
Probably so. I mean, Bieber or McKenzie are going to give you 1 or 2 stellar games, I would think.
Yeah.
But moving on, we'll talk about the AL East some. Yankees still hold that 8-game lead. Any chance they lose that?
I don't think they will. I mean, it's kind of hard to play as bad as they have, and they're still 8 up. So, it's going to be hard to lose that. It would be funny if they do, but it would be pretty hard. But they have played horrendous, and they're going to need to turn it around before the postseason because if they play like this in the postseason, they might get beat with their first matchup, whoever they play.
For sure. Well, it's clear they need Stanton back in the lineup. He's a huge presence for them. Carpenter was great for him and is now out of the lineup too. Rotation's been spotty. Montas hasn't been what they hoped he would be so far. That could be some New York jitters. He's still getting his pitch count back up too from his shoulder injury. But yeah, I think they hold on too. But I still think I don't view them now in the postseason that much scarier than Toronto at least. Tampa Bay is like a small step below for me between Toronto and the Yankees. Tampa, same thing. They need Wander Franco back really, really bad. But I'm just not scared of the Yankees in the postseason anymore.
Definitely feels like it's Houston's pennant to lose at this rate.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and especially, they always beat the Yankees anyway. But yeah, like you said, they're definitely losing their flair or their intimidation factor going down the stretch here.
And besides Garrett Cole, what pitcher do you fully trust?
Well, they traded Cy Young.
Exactly. Gordon Montgomery.
They traded Monty.
The Cards.
Yeah, I don't know. Montas, if he can figure it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, nobody past him, and even Cole is shaky. He's not had the greatest of years, so.
So that'll be interesting too. So, we don't have not much to talk about the West. We'll talk about the Mariners and the wild card standings, but Astros got this locked up. They, like we said, they look like the AL favorite for sure right now. Top to bottom of the lineup, they're strong, and the rotation is getting better than ever with Lance McCullers coming back too. Who looks good in his 2 starts.
So you want to go AL wild card or then go?
Yeah, let's talk some AL wild card real quick.
Let me get those up.
So Tampa, we're recording this on Wednesday night before the games have happened tonight, though. Tampa's a half game up in the 4 seed right now, and then Toronto and Seattle are tied for 5 and 6. And below that, Baltimore's 2.5 games out, Minnesota's 4 out, White Sox are 5 out, Red Sox are 7 out, and that's about the extent it goes to, still potentially in contention.
No.
Do we think Boston has any shot still?
No.
I think they're nearing the point of, all right, we forgot about you too.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I think either of the Central teams are also out of this. They have to win their division. I think. I just
Yeah,
feel like
probably so.
these top four are just in a league of their own, and Baltimore is not nearly as hot as they were, so they're kind of falling off. But they still can pick it up again. But I think it's
The only thing is, I could see Minnesota or Chicago getting super hot just because I haven't looked at their schedules yet, but they could have a stretch of Detroit, Kansas City. I'm assuming one of them do their division. Meanwhile, Toronto's beating up on Tampa Bay, or Toronto's beating up on Baltimore, or Seattle's taking a nosedive, something like that. So I
Toronto
could
does
see
not
one
beat
of
up
them
on
getting
Baltimore.
super hot, but
That's not a thing. Ryan Mountcastle beats up on Toronto. That's what happens.
that's true.
So,
Numbers are insane.
but yeah, I think it's. I personally think it's those four, and then those next two need to win the division. I just don't see. I don't see two Central teams making the playoffs. So, then I don't think Boston's in it, but you never know.
So do we still believe in Baltimore?
Yeah, I
snag a
do.
spot.
I still do. I mean, you saw how good they are when they're. I mean, they're. If you went since the All-Star break, I think it was, the Orioles would be leading the division. They have the best record since the All-Star break. That's over the Yankees and Rays, Blue Jays, everybody. So, I mean, they're fully capable of getting back in it.
But who's coming out? If you were picking right now.
I would think. Well, I don't know how much they play, but I would assume these three are going to play each other a little bit down the stretch. So I think Seattle gets in, and then it's either Tampa or Toronto wouldn't get in if Baltimore does.
Tampa, Baltimore, I did check this, do not actually play each other anymore.
At all.
Played all 19, I'm pretty sure.
What about Toronto, Baltimore? I know they just played.
Toronto, Baltimore does play, and Toronto, Tampa does play.
Okay. Well.
So, I think it would be a case. I personally think Tampa's the lower of the three in the wild card right now. I would think it'd be a case they need Toronto to beat up on Tampa.
Well, Tampa's got a free win tonight. When we're recording, they're playing the Angels tonight, so they're gonna
McClanahan on the mound.
That's a win. Mark it down. Toronto's playing Boston, and Seattle's already in a game with Washington right now. So I don't know what the score is. But anyway, I'm more confident in, like you said, Baltimore than Tampa probably. I also think Tampa's the fourth one out if Baltimore figures it out again. So.
Although I say that, and they're 8-2 in their last 10. All of a sudden, it could be an easy schedule.
It's kind of almost like exactly how the wild card is shaped up right now. Is their last 10. Tampa's 8-2 and they're leading. Toronto and Seattle are both 6-4, and then Baltimore's 5-5. Minnesota's 4-6, and the White Sox are 5-5, and Boston's 5-5. So like these teams that are at 500 or below are out of it right now. So.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I keep saying maybe Tampa had an easy last 10 games. Well, you're at the point of the season where it doesn't matter who you're playing. You got to get it done now. I mean, if you're playing teams like Detroit and Kansas City or the Angels, the Rangers, any Athletics, you got to go in wanting a sweep. Not just winning the series. I mean, you got to want to sweep that series to put you in a really good spot.
It's like that in the NL too. I'll mention that later when we get to it. The San Diego's in the position like that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to go and swing it over there?
Yeah, you want to go through the standings of the NL?
Yeah, sure. So right now, NL East, we got the Mets leading, only a game and a half up now on the Braves. Braves are red hot right now, 8-2 in their last 10. Phillies 10 games back of the Mets. Still a very, very outside chance of getting the division, but unlikely. Miami and Washington virtually eliminated. NL Central got the Cardinals up 5.5 games on the Brewers.
Hey, I can't hear them from 5.5 back.
Yeah, exactly. And in a meaningful time of the year now. But Cardinals red hot, 9-1 in their last 10. Even better in their last 20. I think like 17-3, something like that. I guess percentage-wise, it's not better, but sustained success. Milwaukee's only 4-6 in their last 10. They had a brutal, tough of their schedule. They had to play the Dodgers for 4, and then they had to go to Chicago, and they ended up losing that series too. Chicago, Cincy, and Pittsburgh all virtually eliminated. And then NL West, Dodgers have already locked it up, basically. 18.5 game lead. Insane. They're 85-37. Everybody was talking about, well, the Yankees sniff for 116 wins. Well, the Dodgers have a legit chance now, depending on how they play their cards and their rotations and their main guys down the stretch. But yeah, only sitting 31 wins away with about 42 games left, I think. So definitely a good shot there. San Diego's 18.5 back. Still a good spot for the wild card, though.
40. That would be 40, wouldn't it?
What's that?
They're 85-37, so they got 40 games. All right.
Exactly 40. So they would need to go 31-9.
I mean, that sounds crazy, but it's possible.
But it's almost what they've been doing in the past month. So anyway, yeah, San Francisco's 24.5 back, but still in contention for the wild card. Arizona, Colorado virtually eliminated.
Yeah.
So what stands out to you?
Let me get the wild card up. That's the interesting thing here. I think the divisions, I honestly, other than the Mets, Braves, I'm a little bit biased, but I think the Cardinals got this one. The way
I mean, 5.5 now too, and the Cardinals still do have the easier schedule.
The Brewers were talking smack up 3. That's crazy.
Milwaukee's gonna have to, like, realistically, if they want a chance, they gotta. I think there's 5 games left between the two teams.
Yeah.
I believe they're gonna have to win at least 4 of the 5.
Yeah.
Maybe all 5 if they want a legit shot.
Yeah, I really like the NL East battle. That's gonna be fun. I like the Braves, so it's fun to watch them. And it was kind of interesting how they both went and played, or they had 2 series, one in New York, one in Atlanta, and they both kind of dominated their home series. So that's always gonna be interesting to see down the stretch, those two. But the wild card is what's interesting to me. Is it feels like there's more teams that I could compare San Francisco and Boston. It's like they're a little bit out, but I feel like San Francisco is better than Boston. Like they have a better shot at a run.
Well, that and there's just not as many teams in between them.
Yeah.
You know, when you got to jump that many teams, it's more difficult too. So.
And Milwaukee's currently outside looking in. They're playing the Dodgers again now, so San Diego is currently the 3rd wild card. Philadelphia is the 2, and whoever wins the NL East or whoever loses the NL East will be the first one, I assume. So,
sure.
So this 2 through 4 is wild. I was watching. You can maybe see it. The San Diego game's up on my TV right now, and they showed the strength of schedule the rest of the way. Philadelphia and Milwaukee play like 10 to 15 games against 500, better than 500 teams, I think. And San Diego plays like 24. So, like, they have by far the toughest strength of schedule. And it just feels like the news of Tatis just is probably going to deflate the team even more. So, I could see Milwaukee obviously getting back in. But that's why I really feel like San Francisco could sneak back in then they have a series coming up with San Diego. So, if they start to get hot and San Diego has this tough schedule, they could find their way in. If Milwaukee also falls off, or Philadelphia maybe, but right now I would say it would be Philadelphia and Milwaukee, but San Francisco is almost in a better spot than San Diego in my opinion.
Yeah, San Francisco absolutely holds their own destiny still. I mean, you take care of business for San Diego, they're almost out of the question. And then you got to just hope Milwaukee loses some, which might be tough considering how easy their schedule is too. Yeah. But the thing about San Diego, I remember when the Soto trade happened, we were driving to Atlanta, and I said, wouldn't it be crazy if they somehow blew up and missed the playoffs again like last year? We were both like, well, that's pretty unrealistic this year with all the guys they added.
Well, it was unrealistic with Tatis coming back, but
Exactly. And at the time, they still expected him to be back. Now, you look at it still, even without a Tatis, you added Hader, who hasn't been good for them, Josh Bell, who also really hasn't been good for them in his time there so far, and Soto, who's still being good in his Soto.
And
add those
Drury.
3, and Brandon Drury.
Drury seems to be the second best pickup out of the 4 so far.
Yeah, for sure. You look at that, and you're like, okay, well, Tatis or not, you should get a wild card. They're looking at a thing again where, like, no, they could easily blow up, and it feels eerily similar to last year. I mean, I think they started even hotter last year. They kind of maintained pace this year without Tatis, but it'd be really tough if San Diego doesn't make the playoffs 2 straight years after
Yeah.
what
And
they've been doing.
if they fall out and Milwaukee gets that 6th seed, it's going to be an interesting wild card series. And then you're going to have Cardinals, Brewers, and then Philadelphia and whoever loses the division probably. So that would be fun to watch right there.
The next thing I was going to ask was, for the Cardinals, you're probably getting the 3 seed. What team do you even want to play in the 6th spot?
I mean, all of them are good, but I'm not really.
Barring like the Giants making the leap.
So out of those 3,
Out of, Philly, San Diego, and Milwaukee.
What's our record against Milwaukee this year?
We're literally 1 game better. Like, we've played 13. We're 7-6.
I don't know. I'd love to see the division thing against Milwaukee.
We haven't been great versus Burns, which is a little scary too.
Yeah, they definitely have the toughest top 3.
Well, I thought that too at first, but like you look at Phillies, I mean,
Noah Wheeler,
Nola, and then whoever's better at the time between Syndergaard and Gibson.
Yeah.
Or even Ranger Suarez has been great as of late.
That's true,
But
I
the
mean,
1 and 2 is super strong.
Burns and Woodruff for Milwaukee, and then I guess Freddie Peralta's getting healthy. It could be him. Yeah, either one of those. Honestly, San Diego's pitching so iffy. I would almost like to see them, but their offense is crazy.
Yeah, I think we could handle their offense though. I think we have good pitchers for their offense. I don't know. The Milwaukee just kind of scares me when you play 19 times in a season too.
Yeah.
And just won 3-game set.
Well, what about it? What have we done to them at home?
Well, I know at the start of the year we played a 4-game set there. We split. They played a 4-game set here. We split.
I was at the last series at home, and I'm pretty sure we won.
The most recent one we won.
Yeah.
The one that's what gave us the 7-6 now, because before it was 5-5.
2 of 3. Yeah. Well, it'd be fun to watch. San Diego's probably the team you want to see. I don't know.
For the Giants to make some noise. I want them to make it interesting.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I think they could. I think they could get into the 6, and then you just see if Milwaukee or Philadelphia fall out, and that's what you got to hope for. But they both have pretty easy schedules, so it's going to be tough.
We'll touch on Tatis for just a second too. Kind of old news, but he did just address the media yesterday, so it's going to be relevant all year for the Padres story. But suspended 80 games. Suspended right before he was set to come back, basically. Probably just a normal drug test that anybody takes before they're coming back. Yeah. He said he was using it for a skin condition, something like that. I don't know, whatever. I'm sure at some point throughout history that story is true, but more times than not, it's not true. And so you definitely can't give him the benefit of the doubt in this situation.
You just gotta know, even if it was for that, you gotta know still. I mean, you got plenty of people around you that know what you can and can't take. You can't. That's inexcusable, and his teammates didn't sound very happy about it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're in that position, you got to be asking 4 or 5 people within the organization, even.
Yeah.
Like, hey, is this good? Hey, So I just feel like it was kind of an under the table thing still. I don't know, but regardless, it's suspended 80 games. It's at least the rest of this season. It's definitely a blow. I mean, the Padres have looked a little defeated lately, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, when the news came out, that every teammate you heard, every front office guy, they just sounded just annoyed. Like, you were expecting this guy back all year. You're banking on it, and I mean, we were talking about, if you add him into that lineup with Soto and all them, it's crazy. I mean, it'd be him leading off, and then you can move whoever the leadoff guy is down to the bottom, and it's like if you take Tommy Edman and put him at the bottom, which I don't agree with, but it automatically bolsters the whole lineup. I mean, it just you can't be like, as an opposing pitcher, you get to the bottom of the order and it's like, oh, there's nobody down here. But yeah, I mean, it's just, it seems like his teammates were highly annoyed, and as you should be, and you can't put yourself in a spot like that.
And if you look at the Padres from an organization standpoint, how aggressive, now I know they want to win regardless this year. They think they're good enough. But how aggressive are they for Soto then? If this news came out before their trade deadline. How aggressive are they for Hader? I mean, they gave up a decent bit for Hader too, in all reality. So,
I don't know.
I mean, it's just
like you mentioned before, though. I mean, I think the team they have now is still capable of going and winning. So, I think they probably still would have been the same. Maybe not as. They probably wouldn't have thrown as much out to get him. Like Abrams probably would have. They probably would have tried to find a way to keep him because he can play middle infield. So, but yeah, I still think they're capable. But this is a huge shot, like you said. So.
Yeah, absolutely, and they could go on an Acuna-less type Braves run, but
it's not. That's not the same vibe. It was Atlanta was playing for
Acuna. Exactly, and that's the big
happy.
difference. And the Braves too were just much deeper too. They had a lot of plug and play guys that stepped up. You don't really see this in the Padres lineup. The 7 through 9 was already kind of weak. So I don't know. But speaking of the Braves, we'll talk about NL East for just a second. Mets and Braves, only a game and a half now. Braves won 3 of 4 in the most recent series between the two. Huge, absolutely needed. Then the Braves won the series versus the Astros in a World Series rematch.
Yeah, that was
another huge one. And so down the stretch, who you rolling with now?
Like I said, I think I'm a supporter of the Braves, Cardinals fan, but I think the Braves will win that division. And then, so if you set that up, it's Dodgers 1, Braves 2, Cardinals 3, and then I'm gonna say Mets 4, Phillies 5, and Brewers 6. So I'm highly confident in the Braves beating the Mets in the playoffs again, because I think the Mets would win their matchup, and then the Cardinals probably, or they wouldn't play. They would play the Cardinals, wouldn't they? It would be Braves Cardinals.
Or Braves Cards.
I might have to pull up to that, one way or the other. But I obviously want to roll with us all the way. But the Dodgers, Braves, and Mets are all going to be really good. I think that'll be the 4 in the division series. So those will be good matchups. I'm rolling with us until further notice. I can't go away from that. But instinctively, I don't know if we'll make it that far. So I think I already mentioned the East though. I think the Astros are clear front runners. They're a little bit banged up. It was good to see Jordan was fine. He missed some of that Braves series, so I think they're the front runners, definite favorites, and then the NL is probably the Dodgers, but it's just like last year. The Dodgers were probably the front runners last year, and a team like the Braves came out of nowhere, so anybody could still do it.
Yeah, the postseason, when you get in these series, I'm not going to count out or discredit the Brewers or the Padres once they get there. You know, if they get hot at the right time, then it's a scary team. They got the pieces. As far as the rest of the regular season, I'm still going to roll with the Mets, I think, to win the division. That doesn't mean that the Braves aren't any less scarier in the 4 spot. They just got to win that extra series now. I do think when it gets down to the end of it, if the Mets are looking at a 1-game lead or they're tied going into the last week, they will throw Scherzer and DeGrom 4 games of the last 7 or whatever, or at least 3. Depending on the teams they're playing, I don't know, in the last week. Those might be auto wins. And now you could say that for the Braves too, with guys like Max Fried and Spencer Strider. But I just think the Mets have a different gear right now. I still believe in them for the regular season. Doesn't mean the Braves aren't any scarier for the postseason, though, for sure. Yeah. Or do you think the Dodgers are still like the team to beat overall in the NL, or do you think the Mets or the Braves are just as scary?
They got 85 wins. I mean, you got to beat them. I think if you look at it that way from wins, you could say Braves, they're defending champions. I see people say that all the time. If you want to be the champs, you got to beat them. So obviously it's a different team, but we haven't seen Acuna in the playoffs in a while, so that we didn't get to see it last year. So that'll be fun. It almost feel like 2020 again. Those two teams if they meet up. So I think the Dodgers are the team to beat, but they're not. It just doesn't seem like they're as clear a front runner as Astros are in the AL.
Absolutely. And for the rest of the NL's sake, Atlanta kind of needs to win a division, I think, for the rest of league's sake, because the Mets go into a 5-game series and they can line up Scherzer, DeGrom, one of Scherzer, DeGrom in a potential Game 5, and then roll into the 7-game series and probably get 4 of the 7 games from Scherzer and DeGrom. That's really tough. You physically have to win a Scherzer or DeGrom game then as the opposing team.
The championship series would be difficult to get 2 out of both of them though, if it's calendar wise back to back, because if you go 5 then you have to use one of them in Game 5. The other one's starting 1, and then the other one won't be available till like 4.
But if they weren't to go 5, then
if they weren't, then
if they were to
they're
go
both
5,
going to be starting. If they don't go 5, then you got them both games 1 and 2, and both division and championship. So
5 and 6.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm not. It's definitely. And the Dodgers lost Buehler for the year. We didn't mention that. He's out until 2024. His second Tommy John. So that's huge for them to lose. Their pitching staff is. I mean, they still have guys. They got May back, but it's not. You don't got Buehler at the top, so that changes it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Mets pose the scariest 1-2 for sure.
If 100%. We get into a 5-game, we're running what? Michaelis, Wainwright, Montgomery, and Quintana. You think?
Yeah, probably so.
I don't think we would throw Dakota Hudson out there. I don't think we'd throw Palante or.
No, and I think even the Quintana game would be like maybe only 3 innings of him.
Yeah, that'd be Quintana, Palante, Hudson.
Yeah, all the guys.
Yeah. So hopefully we can win in 3 if we get there. We're gonna have to win the 3-game first, but.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I think last MLB video I still stuck with Astros Braves rematch. I think.
No, you went Astros Mets.
You're right. Yeah, I said the Mets were winning it all.
I had I either had Astros Braves or Astros Cardinals.
Yeah.
So I'm still sticking with that.
I'm gonna stick with Astros Mets. Whatever I said, I think it was that Astros Mets. I think I said I had Mets winning. I'm sticking with that as of now. So.
Yeah, it's very possible.
This was a good one. We will we'll have an in-person one next, I believe. Should have it. It'll be the Cardinals episode, so be on the lookout for that. A lot of fun talking more about Pujols, Wainwright, Oldie's MVP year, Arenado's stepping up, all the trade deadline stuff we did. We're looking really good. We might even throw some in-person clips at the stadium and stuff in there at times, stuff like that. So it's going to be really good. We appreciate all the support right now.
Follow all this down there. Like and subscribe.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. Ciao.